Welcome back, everyone. I bet you've seen people flying around the map with the sword, or you were beat by a sword and you're wondering how you can use it more effectively, or wanting to know some stats on it. So we'll get into all of that. We'll start with movement, then move on to damage, and as always, there'll be timestamps listed below, so let's get into it. So first things first, just regular sprinting, you're moving at about 7.5 meters a second, and with the sword, you're moving at 10 meters a second, which is a 33% approximate speed increase just by holding the sword out. But when you are running with the sword, you do lose about just under 1% a second. So for a full sprint with the sword, it's 13 seconds that you're able to run with it, and you lose about 10% durability on the sword just by doing that. And you have a 4 times sprint distance with it. So with the sword out, you can run approximately 140 meters, where if you just have anything else out, you're going to get about 38 meters of travel. Now, the way that I would recommend moving around the map is going to get you a lot farther. So if you're familiar with this word slide canceling, you run, slide, cancel the slide. So you just run, crouch, uncrouch, and just keep doing that. So you let the slide run out, or not completely run out, but get close. And then you just crouch again to come out of the sprint. So for me, I'm on controller, so I'm just using right stick. So right stick down again, right stick down, just keep doing that. And as you can see, we can go over 300 meters. Now that does vary depending on how long you let the slide go for. So that's going to be the fastest, most efficient way to move around the map. So you're going to get double the distance, or a little bit more than double the distance, and the durability is still going to go down the same as a full stamina bar, because that's all we really used. So it's still only 10%. Now the way that you would move around more for combat than for getting around the map is the double dash. So jump, dash. As you can see, we don't go very far with it, but on the last one, if we roll, we get some stamina back. So we can get an extra little bit out of that. So you can see we got around 100 meters from it. So we're going to roll, dash again, roll again. So you can get an extra 2 dashes out of that, because the second time you don't get as much stamina, the third time you get even less. But as you can see, with 2 runs of that, we're down the whole track. Where with the slide canceling, we got down the whole track and more in one use of the stamina bar. And with the run slide that we were showing you here, the slide cancel, you're gonna move at a total of 9.5 meters a second approximately, where with just sprinting you move at 10, so it's slightly less, but you end up actually going farther faster. Now there is one more movement item you can use on this, and that is your charged attack. It's gonna move you a total of 5 meters. So for instance, if you were to run, jump, dash, you could use it, but I wouldn't recommend it because it's not really going to get you that much farther. Or if you can see, we're here 0 meters. Use it. We want 6, but obviously it depends where you stand within that 0 mark. So if you're coming out of this and you don't have the stamina, I would just recommend rolling. As you can see, it did increase our stamina there, as opposed to waiting for the second charge up, and then just the lunge you get isn't worth it. But it does hit from a very far distance. Yeah, so for the charge attack, you can actually hit him from 15 meters away. You can see right now we got the ping on 15 meters, and we hit him for 90 damage. Now that damage number doesn't change depending on how close you are. You'll still do the same. So for movement, I don't recommend using it to move 5 meters. It's not really worth it. If you're using it to launch someone or something, it's definitely worth it, but standing here, you're going to leave yourself very exposed. So there's better ways to use it. So one thing you can do with it, run, dash, slide. So you can see that I was sliding the whole time. So even if you do it like this, you're still sliding, but not going to be as much. Now you'll see I got the two guys right here. So it's got a very small radius, but you can hit multiple people, and you don't have to hit them directly either. So you can see I hit both of them. And for the sword, you can see I also hit both of them. So you can hit multiple people with any of these attacks, and it doesn't have to be a direct hit either. Another cool thing about the sword is if you're falling off a high ledge, you use the slam there, you're not going to take fall damage. Not what I meant to do. So that can save you from that too, along with dealing 70 damage within a small area when it lands. Now as for the flurry, or the main attack, see it does 30 damage in a fairly big area too. And that's just for the one hit. So if we go to the complete flurry, you can do 230 damage to it. So if you jump in on them, 70, and then go and do a flurry, they're not going to survive that. If we get into some of the more advanced attacks, what you can do is you want to break their camera. So if they're standing here looking at you like this, you run, jump over them, dash back, shotgun. I haven't perfected it yet, but there's a couple different ways. Because you just want to get over them, and the dash you can use in any direction. So even if you're just planning on running, you can dash over them, shoot down, and then keep going. Now that does leave you exposed in some situations, so you're going to be best to find out which situation you're in. But you can see I just dashed back. So if he thinks I'm going over him, dash back. Or if you open up with a few shots and then move in. But you do have to be careful with the people with shotguns. Because if you're jumping over, then they're trying to track you like this, and then you end up going back, and they don't know where you went. That's the best case scenario. But it's all about breaking the camera, especially if they're low sensitivity. You can see I got behind him, lunged down at him, and he didn't quite have time to move around. Now, especially if you pair it with something like the Oni mask, you can get up behind them. They don't necessarily know where you went if they didn't see your ball go. But at the same time, if you throw it, they're looking at it, waiting for you to teleport. If you don't teleport, you're in a spot where you can see them. You can lay into them while they're looking at that, waiting for you to come out of it. Or vice versa. They're looking at that, you start shooting them, they look at you, you go back to your mask, teleport to them, and then come out with the sword. So there's a lot of different combos, but it's all about them not knowing where you are and using your speed and agility to get around. Now there is another one. Some of these are very advanced techniques. Run, switch to your gun, shoot, switch back to your sword before you land, and you can use your second dash. The first one, second one, you swap weapons in between that. Then back and you use your dash. Now that's going to be a lot easier to do on PC because you don't have to necessarily cycle through everything. You can just hit the button. But if you use that when you get above someone, so you'd run up, shotgun, go back, and then have your sword out. They think you're going backwards, so they're following you there, and then you're behind them. I'll give you the basics on countering the sword. So the first thing you want to do is not get within 15 meters of it. And if they do get up close to you, shockwave. It'll throw you guys far apart, and you can build distance that way. That's the best way to counter the sword. Just don't get within 15 meters of it. So you can see here, I'll throw him. I'll mark where I am. And we'll see how far we got. I'm guessing it's around 100 meters. 92 meters. So even at 92 meters with the sword, it's going to take him a while to get over to you. And all this time, he's exposed. Right? Because there's no real cover in this scenario. So you would just be able to beam him. So that is why that is the best way to counter it. Now, if you do want a video on the kinetic blade and comparing the two, or just the use of the kinetic blade in general, let me know and I'd be happy to do that for you. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, hit that like button and let me know down in the comments what you learned. And if you'd like to see more guide videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The link to my Discord will be in the description, and we'll see you all in the next one.